You're listening to Factual America. And then, how do you go about making a doc about a legend like Miles Davis? I mean, that's got to be a challenge.
First thing you have to do is make yourself so you're not scared. I'm gonna do the best I possibly can, and let the chips fall where they may. Again, I'm a huge Miles fan, and I understood his importance. I mean, one of the first things that I did was approach the editor, Louis Erskine, who I had made a couple of films with early on. The Murder of Emmett Till and Freedom Riders and some other films.
Yeah.
I love Lewis, and we hadn't worked together for a few years, and he loves jazz, and he kind of has a real, uh, he's kind of a real artist, and so I approached him, and he said that he would love to do it, and we just got started. I think that one of the things we had to do was make certain assumptions, or state certain, right? We can't include every album Miles ever made. There's 40 years of music, whatever. So some people are going to say, "Oh, why didn't you include this album, or why didn't you include this song?" And we'll just let the chips fall where they may, because that's going to be what we're going to do. And then we thought really hard about how you kind of transform music onto film. I mean, that's two different art forms, and so we really thought hard about that. And we really wanted to include a lot of music, because I watched a bunch of documentaries, music documentaries, and sometimes they're talking about somebody for an hour and a half, 2 hours, and you still have no idea what the person sounds like. So we wanted to use a lot of music. I think we have like 62 different cuts or something. A lot of music. And we just kind of bit the bullet and went for it. But I also think that because Lewis and I love Miles so much that we felt that we had Miles on our shoulder, like saying, "Mess this up, don't mess this up," so we tried to put everything that we had, as filmmakers, into this film.
I think that's funny because I had written down here too. What would Miles say about this? Because I mean, even getting ready for this, I wasn't even thinking about the. I mean, I was obviously thinking about having you on, but the part of me kept thinking because I don't know if it's in your film or something else I watched where Miles is just basically telling the viewer to stop being silly and get straight to the point and ask the questions better and stuff like that. I mean, that's the kind of guy I was, and that's to have that voice, that very iconic voice in your ear the whole time. And then did you feel pressure to try to outcool the Miles Davis? I mean, that's got to, because it's going to be hard to please a lot of people with this film because they're all going to have their own different kinds of expectations.
No, I mean, you can't outcool Miles. I mean,
No, you
I
can't.
can't. I mean, I admit that, freely. I mean, I couldn't try to outcool Miles. And I think that one of the things that we said, to Miles's family and Miles' state early on was that, I have to make a film warts and all. Some of the things about Miles, the negative things, drug use and other things, have already been stated and have already been known. And so, you can't avoid that. So that's part of Miles. And that's part of, what we went into the film, knowing that we were gonna that we were gonna put into the film, So, um, one of the best compliments I had in one of the first screenings that we had of the film with Miles's family is they said, "Hey, Miles would have loved this film." Miles would.
Okay.
It's like, whoa, okay, that's all you need to say. I'm gonna go to bed because think it'll be better than
Yeah, I think that's amazing. That's excellent. I mean, how did you decide how? I mean, there's various ways you could tell this story. Um, I forget the name of the actor you use who does the voiceover and all in. I mean, that's interesting. You use everything that all the voiceover is completely Miles's words, aren't they?
Yeah, so Carl Lumley,
Yeah.
um, personifies Miles, and we used lots of quotes from his autobiography and other statements to have Miles be the narrator of his own life, and Miles, for those who don't know, had that very distinctive voice, because he had a throat operation, and early on in the middle 50s, and the doctor told him that he couldn't talk, for like a month. Like, don't talk, just, and Miles got mad at somebody and cursed him out. And so the rest of his life, he talked like this, talk like this. So that Carl Lumley, does hit the Miles kind of narration, for Miles' own words, in that voice,
Mm.
Miles' voice. But also what was incredible is that every time, people who knew Miles told stories about it, they went into the voice, naturally. Like the first three or four, people that we interviewed, like, they said, Miles once told me, you gotta play with more soul, man. You gotta play with more soul.
Yeah.
So that was what they did. And so, then we started, saying, well, asking, well, if you quote Miles, you should use his voice, because, one person didn't, and it sounded really weird because everybody else did. That becomes, I don't know, I don't want to say running joke, but yeah, it's kind of a running joke in the film, because everybody says, everyone when they quote Miles, and Miles was quotable. Right?
Yeah.
he, he cursed after every word, and and he just just like was a font of fountain quotes. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of that.